today newspapers reported that the NDC will be picking their flag bearer in February 2023. It is believed that the NPP, by their timetable, will be picking their flag bearer in November or December 2023. All of it happening next year. Before that happens, there are a series of elections that must happen to make sure that the party at all levels, polling station, constituency, regional, and national, are fully in place before the flag bearer comes. And then we are ready for the 2024 campaign. Okay, so this is Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, the incumbent chairman of the National Democratic Congress, whom, as you know, is on trial for something he said on a tape, etc., etc. But he's running for chairmanship again, and we had been told that Aseidu Nketiah, whose photograph is next, is also running for chairmanship. But the circumstances of what we are picking up right now is that it would appear that Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo is in the lead to maintain his position as chairman. If Aseidu Nketiah risks the general secretary risk and leaves the general secretary position, which he has completely under his control right now. If he leaves that general secretary position, remember he has been general secretary of the NDC since before they won the 2008 elections. So Johnson has been there for a very, very long time. Ofosu-Ampofo, after 2008 elections, was a minister for local government. As you know, later on under President Mahama, he was chairman of the Ports and Harbours Authority, the GAPOHA. So he's running for chairman. From what we are picking right now, if the election were to be held today, if it's between the two men, Ofosu-Ampofo will edge it over Aseidu Nketiah. People give all sorts of reasons in our research. One of them is that Ofosu-Ampofo, if he doesn't pick your phone call, he will call you back. And some of his other competitors don't actually pick their phone call. That's very basic, but we were told that Ofosu-Ampofo picks his phone call or he'll call you back. So they like to deal with him. So Ofosu-Ampofo is in lead to become chairman. We are still not sure whether Aseidu Nketiah will throw his hat in. Aseidu Nketiah is very strategic. Now that he knows that is going to be almost insurmountable to defeat Ofosu-Ampofo, maybe he will stay as general secretary. What if he decides to remain as general secretary? We think that if Aseidu Nketiah goes for chairmanship, the odds will be against him. He's going to run at a 1-5 or 1-6 odds. Ofosu-Ampofo is going to run at 1-2 odds to become to continue as chairman of the National Democratic Congress. Of course, Ofosu-Ampofo has a lot going for him. The point is going to be made about the NDC's improvement in the parliamentary elections, and that's going to be attributed to the national leadership of the party, of which Aseidu Nketiah can take some credit as well. So we think Ofosu-Ampofo is going to be chairman. We don't know yet whether Aseidu Nketiah is going to run. If he runs at this stage, as at today, Ofosu-Ampofo has a slight lead over him. So if Aseidu Nketiah decides not to run for the chairmanship and remain as the general secretary, who is he going to have to contend with? He's going to have to contend with Fifi Kwete. Fifi Kwete has come up. He's tested the waters. We are not sure whether he's going to put himself in and run for the position. What is going against Fifi Kwete? He doesn't have a great ability with local languages. Apparently, he doesn't speak Twi, he doesn't speak Ga, and that's going to be a problem for a general secretary of a party that presents itself as a grassroots party. The NDC presents itself as a grassroots party. You have to be able to speak as many local languages as possible to be able to relate to the grassroots and then catapult yourself into the general secretary position. What are his strengths? Fifi Kwete is a very hard-working guy. You have to say that for him. Very, very hard-working. He's a blue blood NDC man. The NDC is in his veins. He's almost like a cadre. He's very focused on the socialism of the NDC. He has experience with executive governance. He was deputy minister for finance under Dr. Dufour, and of course he was minister for agriculture under President Mahama. So Fifi Kwete has quite a bit of experience. He lost his seat, or he decided not to run again in Ketu South, where he was. Nobody understands that because that's a safe seat. It might mean that he was not able to maintain his relationship with the grassroots. It may mean that because Ketu South is a safe seat. So if you go to parliament and you look at those who have safe seats, the majority leader, Aseidu has been a safe seat. So he's run for so many terms. If you look at all those who have run for many terms, they run from safe seats. People don't run many terms in Ghanaian parliament when they are on marginal seats. So seats like Lejo Kuku, Dade Kotopon, most of the Accra seats somewhere in the central region, people don't run like that. But you get those big seats in Eastern region. You get big seats in Ashanti region, in Volta region, in the northern region. These are safe seats that people can run on. Fifi Kwete had a completely safe seat, but he ran 2 terms or so, and then he says he's not running again. It may well be that he was aware that the people were not happy with something. That also speaks to one who may not be able to connect in some great detail to be able to rise and ascend himself as a general secretary, but we have to see what happens. Whatever it is, for those who believe that the NDC are coming into a very important election in 2024, you need the hard work and the brains of Fifi Nketiah to be part of the process for whatever reason and however you place him. But he's looking to be General Secretary. He doesn't present such a strong candidature against Johnson Aseidu Nketiah. If Aseidu Nketiah decides to remain as General Secretary, Fifi Nketiah does not present that strong candidature against him. Who does? Who presents a strong candidature against Aseidu Nketiah? Well, it's this man, Elvis Afriyie. He's feisty, he's strong, he came from student leadership. He's done all that he's done after being a student leader was politics. He's been Deputy Minister of Local Government. He's shown to be a great organizer, great campaigner. He's able to charge the atmosphere. I was going to play one of the videos in which he was charging the atmosphere when Professor Mills died and the morale was down and the public events were occurring. It was Elvis Afriyie who brought up those chants. You remember, Mama, 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 he could say Mama 17 times at a rally and say, and his voice doesn't drop. He has that kind of caliber. So in terms of looking for a general secretary for a party in opposition that wants to win the election, a lot of people are thinking Elvis could be the one. In terms of the disadvantage that Fifi Nketiah has, Elvis speaks Ga, he speaks Twi, he speaks Ewe. But of course, what's the big story about Elvis? World Cup 2014. Should that be a story used against him or not? I don't know. But that's what they are going to talk about, how the World Cup was botched and he was Minister of Sports and how he appeared before the Jamefe committee and he shed tears and all that kind of thing is going to sort of be built up against him. But in terms of caliber, hard work, and the guy who can really move the crowd, Elvis Afriyie is very, very important. He's also a big propagandist. You remember that in the 2000 elections, sorry, I lost my pen. Okay. You remember that? Sorry about that. You remember that in the 2008 elections, Elvis it was who made this Yana situation that Akufo-Addo has now solved a big issue. And he used to campaign in the 2008 elections. He developed a hashtag. At that time, we didn't know a hashtag. Today, we can call it hashtag. But he developed a hashtag that really worked in the northern constituencies. He said, there can be no peace without justice. And he was talking about the gruesome and unfortunate murder of the Yana, Yakubu, and Dani at the time, about which government did not have any explanation. Government had not been able to explain. The Akufo administration, ministers had resigned for that purpose. Interior Minister Malik Yakubu had resigned for that purpose. A court trial had occurred. People had been imprisoned. But somehow, the people in the Yendi and around the northern community, especially the Dagombes, did not feel that government had given, the Akufo government had given enough attention to the Yana situation. Now, of course, all of that credit goes to Akufo-Addo. They call him Ambudani for having settled it in the history of the Fourth Republic. But at that time, in 2008, when Akufo-Addo was running as a candidate, the people there did not feel that the Akufo administration had done enough. Elvis was able to read the mood of the people and develop that hashtag, there can be no peace without justice. And everybody understood that he was talking about the Yana and to find justice. Of course, this Yana situation was the conflict point between Flight Lieutenant Rawlings and Professor Mills. As soon as Professor Mills arrived in office, Rawlings was expecting that some people, including even the former President J. Kufuor, will be put before court and be held responsible for the Yana trial. Professor Mills said, no, the law is the law. You must have evidence before you put people before court. So that was a sticking point between Rawlings and Mills' relationship. And that's how Rawlings and Mills' relationship began to deteriorate, because Rawlings felt that upon arriving in office, Mills should have gone for what he, Rawlings, called and knew to be the killers of the Yana. That didn't happen. But Elvis it was who racked up this campaign hashtag that significantly changed the demographics of the voting in the North. Sabonjida, for instance, was a constituency that was won by NPP all the time. In this 2008 elections, the NDC flipped it. And many of the smaller constituencies in the North were all won by the NDC on the account of the hashtag presented by Elvis and repeated by him in almost every campaign, that there can be no peace without justice. So he's the kind of politician who is very aware and can pick up the people's mood. He will present Johnson Aseidu Nketiah with a match. Elvis is going to present Aseidu Nketiah with a major match. But all of these analysis can now be looked at within the context of a duopoly. You know, the NDC presidential ticket was a monopoly until now. Now we have Dr. Dufour coming in very, very strong and is beginning to look like a duopoly. Analysts still believe that John Mahama is way ahead, that John Mahama will win the contest, but John Mahama will have to win it. It's not like the first one that was presented to him. This one, he will have to win it. He will have to overcome something to win it. It is believed that he has enough arsenal, he's sufficiently endowed politically, socially, economically, to be able to overcome the threat from Dr. Dufour. But it's still a threat. And Dr. Dufour and his supporters are pushing very hard. Now, that is what is changing the context of these elections, because whatever it is, the ultimate election is the presidential flag bearer election. So all of these things that are happening is like a sequel to that, you know, and it's like a prelude to that. So political observers are watching who is with Dufour, who is with Mahama. Nobody is disclosing because it's very risky to disclose. But I'm sure that after they've been elected, we will see how it goes. So look out for the contest between Elvis Afriyie and Johnson Aseidu Nketiah, if Aseidu Nketiah decides to remain the General Secretary, and I believe he would because he's a strategic political thinker. He knows that trying for the chairmanship against Ofosu Ampofo is looking very, very dicey. And Ofosu Ampofo is very, very strong in the position, and he's in pole position to retain the seat. There's no reason why they should. The NDC people don't find any reason why they should take him out. But do they find a reason why they should take Johnson Aseidu Nketiah out? I don't know. It's just that his longevity. He's been there since before 2008. He was General Secretary. He's the longest serving General Secretary of any political party. It depends on the NDC delegates and how they want to do it. But for us as analysts, Elvis Afriyie presents a particularly strong ticket against Johnson Aseidu Nketiah. Let's see what we have next. Sammy Gyamfi is going to be retained in his position. He's going to be running for the spokesperson of the party, and for the NPP, NDC, that's a voting position. It's an elected position, spokesperson of the party. So Sammy Gyamfi is going to get that. I don't think he has many challenges. George Opayado is the one that we put our money on to retain the seat and to retain the ticket of the national youth organizer of the party. Not many people in the Mahama camp are very excited about him. In fact, in the last election, they challenged him and he prevailed. It is interesting to observe what his relationship will be with the Dr. Dufour tickets. That's going to be something very interesting to observe. George, the lawyer, has also shown strategically that he understands politics and knows how to pitch his camp. You know, he ran for he was DC before, so he sort of understands that, and he has had parliamentary ambitions. And he was able to mobilize people on the street during the Fix the Country demonstration. When the police denied Fix the Country, he was able to get people on the streets, and he showed that he has a youth with him. Recently, he toured the United States in the company of President Mahama, so hopefully they are getting together at this stage. But Opayado has not originally been on the Mahama tickets. Maybe right now that it looks like he's unassailable, the Mahama people will come to him. But he is our tip to retain the seats that way. Now let's come to the New Patriotic Party. Apostle John Boydu is behind me, isn't it? John Boydu is running again as General Secretary of the party. Given that Freddie Blay, who is the former chairman of the party, and Samuel Uku, who is the former national organizer of the party, are not running, his contemporaries, his paddies are not running, it sort of isolates him. But it appears that John Boydu has done enough work to overcome the challenges. The biggest question that he's answering around the constituency is that why did we lose? The NPP people are asking him, why did we lose parliamentary elections so heavily when we were winning the presidential elections comfortably? And he's been able to, he's had to deal with that question, but that's a very important question. John Boydu's leadership and the victory at the Congress, when it happens, will be determined by how he answers this question and how the people receive his answer to the question. He's being challenged by people who don't seem to have the spread, political spread, in the NPP to be able to win it. He's not, I don't know whether they have Musa Superior and others over there. Okay, that's Kodia. Yes, that's Justin Kodia, one of those challenging John Boydu for the position. And that's what I talk about, spread, you know. John Boydu has been at this straight from school. He's been national organizer of the party, and then he's been general secretary of the party. He was in the party when the big turmoil occurred that exited Kwabena Japan and Paul Afoko and others. So Boydu has the spread. Justin Kodia is a nice young man whose strength and freshness the NPP will need if they would have to break the 8 that they are talking about. But whether or not he has the spread to be elected as the general secretary of the party, it's a big story. If you look at the history of general secretaries of NPP, where can we start? We can start with Ajeni Boateng. He was a colossal figure of the party. And then we go to Adom-Otchere, of course, you know, Adom-Otchere indefatigable. He had a big spread. Sir John, we know that he had a big spread of the party. Kwabena Japan, huge one. That's what John Boydu kind of represents, you know. John Boydu is representing that spread and depth that you need within the NPP family to become general secretary. And I don't think that Justin Kodia has that spread. However, the NPP will need the youthfulness of Justin Kodia. They will need his agility, and they will need the hunger in him to achieve for political purposes. They will need that to push the whole agenda of Break the 8. But it doesn't look like Justin Kodia has what it takes to defeat John Boydu. Next is my friend Musa Superior. Great guy, recently coming out as Tamale mayor. I thought that Superior would sort of look at the northern regional chairmanship of the party because he has quite a big control over Tamale at this stage. Having been a mayor, he fought a few battles, he won it, he was averagely successful, and then another person was nominated. Musa Superior is also running for the NPP general secretaryship position. It's unlikely that he will be able to beat John Boydu, but Superior is a very innovative thinker, you see. So the NPP will need his kind of innovation to do that. When I was a student in England, Musa Superior and I used to have Sunday breakfast together in Tottenham, and we'll talk about Ghana and the politics of Ghana and all of that. So I know the kind of brain that he has. Superior has a fantastic brain, and he's a very innovative thinker, and so all of that will be needed. But whether he has what it takes to overcome the strength and the establishment of John Boydu within the context of NPP's general secretaryship, I'm not so sure. So it looks like John Boydu is in kind of pole position to sort of pick it up again. He will edge it, even if it's marginally. I think he will still edge it. But, a big but, the election must be held very quickly, because the more the election delays, the more they are eating into John Boydu's support. So we tip John Boydu to lead. Let's come to national chairmanship. Now, Stephen Ntim perhaps is the longest campaigner for the role of national chairmanship in the history of the Fourth Republic. Stephen Ntim has been campaigning for national chairmanship since McMahon won it. That's a very long time. As soon as Harun Eseku was over, Stephen Ntim began his campaign for it. And he was a first vice chairman for that purpose as well. Ntim has been defeated, including the very last one in 2018 in Koforidua. Now, he seems like he is in pole position to win the NPP chairmanship. There's been talk about people feeling that Ntim is an Alan Martin person, and we are going to a contest that Alan is interested, and if you give it to Ntim, you're sort of giving advantage to Alan. Then there's a counter talk that Ntim supporters said, no, we are not Alan. The other time, Alan submitted another candidate. He didn't submit us, so we are not Alan anymore. Yes, we know him, but we are not. But you can understand when these things happen. You're going into a contest right now. You don't want to be described as an Alan Martin chairman or a Dr. Baumia chairman. You want to be described as a chairman who will move the party forward. So all of those gossips are going around, and we are snoozing around for all of them. For now, though, Stephen Ntim looks like he's in pole position to take the chairmanship that he had been looking for a very long time. Those who are arguing against him are saying that he belongs to the old school, break the 80s about the new vision and all of that, and he represents the old school, and so let's find a new person. But can they find a new person? Can the NPP find a new person? Who are the new persons they are talking about? Stephen Asamoah Boateng just left SIGA and is also running for the position. Stephen Asamoah Boateng is also the former member of parliament, isn't he? Has he got the spread? Has he got the expanse? Has he got the mental, the social, and all of that to lead a big party like the NPP? I don't know, but that's what his opponents are saying, that Asamoah Boateng doesn't have the temerity to lead an NPP party. He certainly doesn't have it. He's a great worker. He can be a minister. He was a minister for local government. He was a minister for information at some point. But in terms of leading the party, in the circumstance that the party finds itself, difficult economic situation, selecting a new presidential candidate, going into an election, looking for a third term in office in a developing country, Asamoah Boateng may not be the one who can do it. He has other roles to play, but by and large, delegates don't think that he's the one. We think that Asamoah Boateng is not going to present significant challenge to Stephen Ntim's ticket. Adom-Otchere is a very seasoned politician. He's thought to be with the old school. He was in Kufuor's administration. He's now chairman of the board of the Public Procurement Authority. He's been a minister, and he's been director of the Ghana Education Service for many years. So Adom-Otchere has been around for a long time. He sort of understands the country. He's been minister for railway and ports and all of that. Has he got what it takes to overcome the Ntim sort of momentum? At this stage, he will need a bit more time. If he had started the campaign much earlier, as soon as the 2020 elections were over, Adom-Otchere has thrown himself in, perhaps because he's respected as a professor. He's a professor of aquatic science anyway. He's been respected as a professor. He's dealt with the Ghana Education Service, and you know that education has been an important conversation of an important narrative in President Akufo-Addo's presidency, education. So he has that strength. He's been around. He knows the system. Whether he has the spread to lead the NPP in a time when they need a very brutal leader, whoever is going to become chairman of the NPP must be driven. He must have an agenda that I'm driving the party into victory, and he must be able to speak out against some people who may be in authority in the party who are not doing it right. That person must be able to do that, to be able to engender youthful support with him. Will Amir Kofi be able to do that? I'm not sure. I think that he started a bit late. And until the Congress is pushed further away down the line to give him more time to cover the ground, Ntim is going to run away with this matter. Stephen Ntim is going to run away with this matter. He will be elected the chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Okay, so let's come to Nana B now. Nana B is fighting for the national organizer position. Nana B is rising up from the youth organizer to the national organizer position. Usually when you come from the youth organizer, it means that you have quite a bit of oomph. All the youth are supporting you, they are with you, so they can propel you into the next stage. Will Nana B get that push? I don't know. Most likely he would. But he's contesting against Titus Nikwate Glover. Now, Titus Glover is a very hard-working, brutally hard-working politician. Now, he lost a seat in Tema Central. It's a seat that was always getting away from the NPP. The previous year, he had won it by 3 votes in 2016, and eventually he lost. It was a seat that is gradually getting away from the NPP when the division of the constituency was done. Titus is a hard worker. He's won a coastal constituency in Tema. It's a very difficult place to win, and you have so many different tribes there and all of that. So he understands how to work with people and push himself out. He's also a Ga by tribe, and people are going to look for, the NPP had been losing a lot of the coastal seats, the Ga areas in the last election. People are going to look for the Ga connection in the NPP executive when they are going back to campaign to the people of Odozo Diodio, to the people of Klote Kole, to the people of Dadeko Topong, the people of Lejokuku and Krowo, these main Ga constituencies, also in the Dansoman areas. They are going to campaign and tell the people that within our national executive, we recognize the Ga ticket, and so Titus Glover is in. So that's a big card that he's bringing in, that you're going to have many accounts in the front line. You must have a guy in the mix somehow, one way or the other. The role of Lord Comey as national organizer had been used by the NPP in many elections to try and secure Ga votes. So Titus Glover is going to work on that. Does he have time to be able to put all of this work together and overcome the strength of Nana Boakye? I don't know. But that's a contest. So the big contest in the NPP national leadership election is a contest between the incumbent Nana Boakye in pole position to win the national organizer position, rising from the youth, and the threat from Titus Glover, which is coming on the back of very strong organization and the tribal mix that gives Titus a certain advantage. So we will keep looking at all of that, both the NDC and NPP, as time goes on. We'll take a short commercial break.